So yeah, no, we'll pivot on to Pool 2, which was Munster's pool.
Indeed it was.
And we're probably gonna have to go for a tone shift as well, because Munster Exeter was the deciding fixture, and that was a pool that did have a deciding fixture. It was the headline event Saturday night, as far as this weekend of rugby was concerned.
The biggest and most consequential game perhaps of the whole thing, other than maybe Edinburgh Montpellier. Which was also a shootout. But
it was,
I hated it.
Yeah, here we go. I didn't enjoy it either, but like it seems everyone who's commenting on it loved it. Intensity, you know, a lot of intensity, a lot of endeavour, a lot of physicality.
You gotta be careful with that word, intensity. Like, it does exist, it is a real thing, but you can't just throw it around every time there's a game that's low scoring. And that seemed to me like they were talking about the hits as if there was, like, I know I only watched it on TV, other people were there. Like, I watched the Leinster Toulouse game the week before, and I saw from my viewing
intensity,
like genuine intensity, but there were guys flying out of the line. The tackling was incredible. Some of those Leinster sets where they were pounding on the line and Toulouse were holding them out with vicious tackles, and you had Femoina going off injured, and it was like it was proper test level intensity, and it was real.
It didn't feel like that.
It didn't. There were so many errors. There were sections of the second half when it just got to kick tennis. Teams they were just kicking it at each other because there were so many errors that they felt like their best chance of getting the ball was to kick it back to the opposition and allow them to make a mistake. And conversely, you can talk about defences dominating. Defences did dominate, but you got no chance to see any elite level defending because there was zero enterprise from either side. With
I think at one point at like the 60th minute when we made the comment, we've seen one wrap around each. From Munster and Exeter to try and get the outside. Neither of them that effect. Like the Munster one particularly was like pull back, flick it wide, kick. And it was like there was no space created. It was still 2-on-2 out there, and it was like no one's being deceived by any of it.
Immediately offset piece, and that was about the only bit of shape that you saw to the Munster attack at all. It's been a problem for Munster for a while.
I think it's kind of a lot of this Carberry talk, which I know we've had some commenters talking about Carberry, and we've had our thoughts on Carberry. We kind of difference of opinion in terms of just how his caliber's at, but I think we've zeroed in this week on the problem's not there. Because it's like Conor Murray looks a bit like he didn't have a great game actually. Conor Murray, he was actually outplayed by White,
Nick White,
which is a strange sight.
Although
to
be fair, like from an Exeter perspective,
what were they doing?
Nick White's the wrong. Like he's not going to get them anywhere.
He played that game really well. He actually outdid him as far as box kicks, as far as that territory thing. But it was like you're looking at them. It's like you need to win by more than 7 points or get a bonus point. So realistically, more than 7 points because you're not going to get a bonus point at that rate. But it's still like there was no sense that a try was coming bar the first one.
And every time he had the ball, he kicked it relatively well, but he did just kick it away. And he didn't create anything, and none of them created anything. Exeter have had that same problem as well. But like for both sides to be so unambitious and so lacking in and it's shape. Like the errors came as well, but it's shape. Outside of their forward pods, they have zero shape. It's just 10, 12, 13 fullback wing. It's real old school stuff. Like there's no
rugby. It was like when with the kick that combined with the kick tennis, I was thinking like this is looking like 2009 rugby.
But certainly pre 2015 World Cup, Northern Hemisphere rugby, and all the lessons that came with that World Cup, and everything that's changed since then in how teams are approaching games. You know, you talk about the emergence of Saracens as the
Sarri screen with it like looks a little like it annoys a few people I know. Think they're looking at rugby league or something, but it's just like it's a lot of the shapes come from that. Rugby league's tougher because there's no rucks, so you have to be fixing men and being deceptive with how you pull back and how you create that space. So yes, of course it's bleeding in, and there's just there's none of that. You pointed out a very key moment. I think it was in the first half, but maybe in the second, where there was a Munster maul from a line out from around the 10 metre that got as far as near the 22, and Murray had to rescue the ball. Then they were nearly getting on it, turned around and kind of flicked a pass in field with his wrong hand to Scannell, who hit it up, which seemed like the plan, which they were doing a lot. Like Scannell hits up first phase, and it's like the first thing that happened then, someone went into ruck over, and Conway came in from the wing, and like Murray didn't know he was going to do it. Scannell on the ground didn't know he was going to do it. He picked and tried to go around the corner where there was cover because the line-out was just there. And I was just like, what's the plan, guys? That's only one phase of your attacking set. Why is he picking and going there? Because even if he didn't drop it, like he's a winger and he's going into a contact with three people. What? Why?
There's nothing wrong with a bit of heads up play from time to time. But first of all, the space wasn't really there. But the bigger problem is that offset piece their backline really doesn't have anything. The set piece plan from a scrum is to win a penalty, from a line out is to drive and win a penalty.
Yeah.
But when the ball goes out to the backline, I mean, when you look at Leinster or Ireland, like they have plays planned.
Or Saris.
They have or Saris. Yeah. They have plays planned for 5, 6, 7 phases. Yeah. Each play comes with an option. Yeah. You know, there are different ways you can take depending on what shape the defence presents you with.
And you want 2 or 3 options for your playmakers simulating well and looking like they're going to get the ball to create that deception. There is very little of that.
There's none of it. And there's also,
and in Exeter as well, which made for this kind of dogged game. It was 2 teams without that structure who were trying to smash each other out of the way.
You would see Munster have a set piece in the middle of the field, a line out, say, and they would get the ball off the top, hit it up first phase with Scannell, and have no idea what they were doing the second phase. Like, no, they had no plan of action for how to break down the Exeter defence, and then they didn't. I mean, shock horror. We said last week on the podcast that this was an opportunity for their backline to go and win a game. And we got our answer. They demonstrably cannot. The way that Munster are going to win, if they're going to win in Europe, is by dominating up front, winning scrum penalties, kicking to corners, line out drives, and then maybe after a few phases of winning loads of contacts and having them back, getting Carberry the ball with loads of space, which is where all of their backline plays have come from this year, is when the defence is already broken, they're behind the line and there's a load of space.
And there's some good heads up play. Like Carberry still can play heads up, and so can Scannell, and so can Conway, and Murray, and Farrell, and they're all really quality players. You're reading the backline thinking, that's a deadly backline for someone to get their heads on. So it's like when people are talking Carberry or blaming things like over blaming him for the Cast performance while over praising him for the Gloucester one. I'm like, I was making a thing, I'm like scoping around looking through the Munster regiment, and I'm zooming in now on Felix Jones, who's the backs coach, who's a former Leinster man who's been there, he's a loyal servant. But we've just seen, like, the last few seasons they've got to the semi-final based on exactly that. They're physically strong enough to bully other teams.
They're the best scrum in Europe.
Very competent drivers and physical, very, like, an international calibre, and a good one at that. Pack.
2 of the best stealers in the world,
with Conor Murray, who's one of the best 9s in the world. What we thought they were lacking last year was a good 10. And then in the years gone by, when it was either Keatley or Blundell or O'Halloran, JJ Hanrahan, all like fine players, but like it just didn't seem to be clicking. But it seems now that that's not the issue, because Carberry I do rate as probably a better operator than them, certainly skill for skill. But there's still no plan. Like, it's not like
the other thing. He's no Johnny Sexton, in the sense that he's just not old enough as a 10 to come into a club like Munster and just impose his will on a team, to actually go to Murray, I demand the ball, to go to Scannell outside him, I want you in behind. You know, to actually, like, if your backs coach isn't doing it, there's a sense of, like, I'll make it happen. Like, if Sexton went down to Munster, you get the feeling that that's what would happen. Sexton would become the backs coach. And would make them do
and take more things that won't happen for more money.
No, indeed, of course.
But I just can't even imagine. But yes, you're right.
Carberry's a young man. He needs a coach. And the whole backline, man, they're so talented. I really rate Rory Scannell. We all know how good Chris Farrell can be, and Chris Farrell's such a unit. You can point him in a direction, you know,
and he's going to get over the game line more often than not. And then that fullback Haley looks like a baller as well. When he has ball in hand, he's making stuff happen. Their wingers do score tries. They have Earls and Conway, which are 2 very competent international caliber wingers. It's just they're not being played into the game at all. And it's like they're ignoring a lot of space on the field, both teams. And that was what the recipe for this kind of Munster Exeter double header was, because you were just like, you were making the point, it's like they play the exact same style of rugby, but you suspect Munster are a little bit better at it, and that's exactly what we got. They played 2 games of absolutely intense smashy smash thing, and you can't blame the win this time for the way it went, but it was like, Munster had 2 points more over. It was 19-17 aggregate over the two games, which is like, that's not scoring enough points. I don't care what you say. Like, a lot of people love the beauty in those games and that kind of thing, but I'm looking at there's definitely chance for innovation against those kinds of sides, because they're too tight a lot of the time, and there's space out wider, but they just weren't exploring that.
Well, here's the thing. Like, first of all, both games have been recipients of undue praise. The opening weekend was like that, and I feel vindicated a little bit, because all that talk about the weather, as you say, whereas they've now met in perfect conditions and the same basic picture has formed, because neither of them are playing the game in the right way. And like teams are going to talk about like, well, Exeter stopped them from doing that. There was I heard about it, but I didn't actually hear it. But apparently Donal Lenihan on RT radio coverage was getting a bit of shtick for using the phrase, you know, Exeter are forcing Munster into unforced errors. Which is,
call a spade. There were loads of unforced errors, and it never came up in commentary either. I was like, there was a question at around 70 minutes going like, there's been a few more mistakes than you might have thought. Would that be down to just the intense pressure that's going on here? And then sure enough it was, according to who, like I think it was Keith Wood. But it was just like, that's not the only reason. A lot of those were unforced errors, and a lot of that's coming from just unsurety as to what comes next.
Uncertainty is the key, because they're good players and they're making stupid mistakes because they don't really know what they're doing, and then they're trying to force things. Like that Conway play is a typical example. Like, he shouldn't be doing that.
No,
you should be.
If anyone's doing that, it should be a flanker coming around the corner. If that's
why
the
is
play.
he even at the breakdown? Is he the guy who's supposed to clear out after Scannell's down there? If so, why? It's all, none of it is planned. None of it makes any sense. And as far as great defending is concerned, they defended what Munster do. What Munster do is they get into your 22, and then from there they do one out pick and jams
or pick and goes
with big men, or pick and goes, and they mix it up, and they can do it quite well
because Murray's an excellent passer of a ball, and he can give a bit of width even with a one out play. He can get wide, and you can skip a guy with it. So it is dangerous, and they're big men, and they just love playing that game. But it just it leaves the back line just stood out, as you say at the start, stood out 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, or 15, 14, and it's just a traditional back line, and they're trying to suck you in and flash it left.
Tight, right. They go tight through the forwards, and then they try and flash it when the defence gets sucked in. I mean, like, I don't know, like, Welsh fans would know better than most. An Irish team comes to town trying to pull that shit, and they'll just chop the legs off and stop you from doing it. And Munster were stopped from doing it.
It's such a risky game, because if you go 4, 5, 6 carries that are a metre each or so, and then you get driven back 2 metres, it starts again, and you have no more momentum, no more pace, no one sucked in.
It's just not using all the tools in your toolbox. You have a good backline there, and you're not using it. So their pack is going to have to win this for them. They have a good pack. They have a great pack.
They have a great pack. By this tournament's calibers, they probably have if not the best pack.
But they're going to have to go away probably to Saracens and first of all to Edinburgh, who could be a stickler for them as well. And Edinburgh, like, for all
we'll learn a lot about Edinburgh's pack when Munster's pack roll into town. Because if they lose that battle, I think Edinburgh do lose that game.
Oh, comfortably.
Because like their backline are, but if they get parity, Edinburgh's backline look more drilled than Munster's backline.
And they're certainly more drilled. They're certainly better coached as an entire team. You rarely see them get beaten up at the set piece. Maybe Munster be the team to do it.
This could be the team,
but you rarely see it happen. And then in the loose, you know, they got the form number 8 in the world probably, and they got a backline that they're not afraid to play their wingers into the game. They do all kinds of great things. It's a dangerous game for Munster,
for sure,
and they're only dangerous games from Munster from now to the end of the season in Europe. And like, people have been asking, like, are you changing your tune about Munster? People getting confident about Munster in the comments and everything else. Like, I remain just firmly skeptical, because I just don't like what I'm seeing on the pitch. I see very limited play from them. And they're good players, but they're not using the full toolbox. They're not using their full arsenal. They're playing a very limited form of the game that relies on dominance up front. And at the tough stages, you actually need to produce
some moments of magic,
industry and enterprise, and they had none of it.
You need to think your way around a team. It can't just run over every team. Because the other thing is, like, and Ireland have learned this in World Cups gone by as well as Munster, is like, it's a very, very tough style of play, the toughest style of play to emulate week on week. And like, even with those gaps and stuff, gaps in the once you get into the knockout stages, you still have to play some games in between. You still have to be training for it, and it's just like, to be dominating those teams as the opposition gets tougher and tougher and tougher. You're not giving yourself the best chance if you just can't score some really good set piece tries. You can't create that space from it, from not just the first phase, but from the first 5 phases, as we said, after a set piece. There needs to be distinct plans of action for if you see certain pictures, and that's what we're not seeing.
We're not seeing them do work on defenses and figuring out weaknesses in defenses. They're just doing the same thing every week as the other thing. And even results wise, you know, the picture isn't great for Munster. They are the lowest ranked team of all the pool winners. They've gone away to Exeter in a game that they should have won and not won it. They've gone away to Cast and failed to win again. And as a result, now for a team with as ropey as an away form as they have, the Gloucester result notwithstanding, they don't get to play in Thomond Park.
Yeah, they removed for the rest of the year. They've taken the Thomond Park factor, which is great for them. It really is, and like there are historical precedents that still stand. Munster still stand and are still dangerous.
That's probably what got them over the line on
it
the
could
weekend,
see them past Exeter. That kind of pedigree from seeing it before, or not Exeter, Edinburgh. It has already got them past Exeter for similar reasons. Where the difference maker is just that little bit of confidence to win the game, and some good playmaking on defence. Credit Billy Holland, actually, who I'm sometimes harsh on. Excellent line-out steal at a timely moment. Like there were moments in that game where players produced plays, because that's the kind of play. Tyburn was excellent throughout, and he could be like a different player. His steals, he has added a lot to their second row where there were problems last year as well. But yeah, no, we remain unconvinced by this Munster. I'm hoping to see more growth. The other factors, they're all going to Six Nations now, so everything changes. They'll come back with a more focused, like detail oriented approach, and maybe that'll bleed over.
I genuinely don't think it's the players though. Yeah, like we've been talking about the players all the time. We've been talking about, you get Murray, you get Carver, you get Scanlon, you get Farrell. This is going to be a great unit. I just don't think they're well coached. Yeah, and I think I think Edinburgh's. I think that's a tough fixture.
It is
a
it's a
don't want to play Richard Cockle's
and
boys.
They'll be probably a bit more confident than they ought to be.
Like, that's Richard Cockle's next month and a half. Yeah, this game. That's what his Monday to Friday is for the next month and a half.
Yeah, so you better believe he's looking at what everything Munster are doing, same as us, and he's probably not convinced.
He's probably licking his lips.
Yeah. It's a good test for his boys because they play a forward style too, but they do trust their backs to try and do something and play their game.
In the games when they had to against Toulon, they ran them around because they knew that was the way to beat Toulon. It was such a big pack, they just knew that was how you do it. Yeah, and they did it. And
so it's curious to see. There'll be an Edinburgh factor, but there won't be a Thomond Park one. And no other pool got out of there for Cast.
Cast and Gloucester.
Gloucester. Cast. Yeah, they're just not quite at it in Europe. Still don't know. I'm still like it wouldn't surprise me to see them do, like you say, an April run where they suddenly produce performances that seem way beyond this team.
They wouldn't get away with that in any other league.
No,
the top Coutures has a particular mentality, especially that they just get freaked out and they get the heebie-jeebies when a team fronts up against them, and the top teams in the top Coutures are so reliant on physical dominance that when a team fronts up and they don't dominate, they don't adjust well. Yeah. Teams with a plan will always beat Cast. I don't think Cast are actually up there as an elite team.
No, but they are stoic in their mindset a lot of the time.
Totally,
and they won at home. They won with it was an 85th minute try in which they won. They snatched that game from Gloucester. Gloucester still have a lot of positives, a lot of pretty rugby. They still have the makings of a good team there.
It was a bit of an anomalous game in the sense that neither side picked a full team.
Total dead rubber. Yeah, but you still saw some styles of play that are still there. It's nice to see that in the.
I gotta say, as far as building for next year is concerned, Gloucester, like, they had their injury issues this year. They have a lot of positivity to work on. Johan Ackerman is just 100% the way to go for them. Yeah, give that guy a 5-year contract to watch him make things happen.
As director of rugby as well, David Humphreys.
Yeah, that they could take or leave, but Ackerman is you got to give him a 5-year contract because he's doing things with the team that are great. You got this young lad in Torley, like, it's all the good signs you want to see from a club. You got a good mentality. You can see that they're going to play some attacking brand of rugby. They've brought in like a proper, on his day, an elite 10 in Cipriani to build their team around. They have young guns coming through. They have the right kind of imports and the right kind of homegrown players. A great fan base. I think
a great stadium.
I think it's only going up for Gloucester. I think they're on an upward curve. I really do.
I hope the rest of the season goes well for them in the Premiership as well, because they play a lovely, exciting brand as well. Totally. And
they need a stronger pack.
They do more physical, because they just got.
I don't rate Grobler as an import. Actually, that's one mistake. I would qualify that as a mistake.
Because there's surely an English lad nearby who's as good.
Or if you want to import a second row because you need some heft in the pack, I don't hate that call, but I don't
get an All Black or something.
I don't know that it should. Well, even if you can't afford an All Black, get somebody who's better. Get better scouts. Grobler was never the man.
Yeah. Well, we were complimenting Leinster and Toulouse for their recruitment policy of not too many, but the ones that you get are quality seasoned professionals from world away who are going to add something to the dressing room as much as the pitch. Yeah. And it's just Grobler, he's just another man in there who's another man in the team.
And that's the last thing you want for your team.
Yeah, really. You don't want it to be consisting entirely of people who are just there for the heyday. Yeah. But anyway, that's Pool 2. Yeah. Munster and Exeter, we will probably go down as one of the few people covering that game who weren't enamoured with it, but we weren't. I didn't enjoy watching it. It was my Saturday evening and I was excited for potential backplay from Munster. Didn't see any of it.
No.
Thought I just saw a load of unforced errors. The intensity was touted, but I didn't think it was even the most intense game that Munster have played this season.
I was just depressed listening to Off the Ball because they spoke about Edinburgh, who, for the record, finished above Munster in terms of the reckonings, just with such dismissiveness. And then they spoke about Gloucester as well, like it was one of the other flippant things. I can't remember who it was on Off the Ball, but it was like they were talking about Exeter. As they were like, I really think Exeter are a great side. So this is a fantastic, phenomenal win for Munster because they've beaten a brilliant side in Exeter. Oh, what a game! And then it was like, and I don't really know what happened to Exeter at home against Gloucester. That's just, they really slipped up there, you know. And I was like, hang on. You know, Gloucester thoroughly beat them then, and then the week following, Exeter won because Cipriani down injured after a few minutes. It was massive. Like I don't see it, and I just think there's definitely a dismissiveness with, and that's purely parochial because it's just in this country that some journalists are just looking at Edinburgh and Gloucester are the two that I would pick out with a dismissive eye, and Munster and Exeter with a romantic eye.
Yes, romantic being the main word, but it's also that probably only watching half the games. But we will move on from that because that's enough little Debbie Downers. For
that's
this
true. We don't want to be.
We don't want to be the negative. We don't want to be the negative. But that game did not appeal to our romantic rugby side at all. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new here, please hit like and subscribe down below if you want to see more videos and all that kind of lovely stuff. But also please leave some comments down below because we enjoy the chat.